Joining us right now on the Rude Guest Hotline is our friend, Mr. Charlie Batch, Super Bowl winner, longtime NFL quarterback. Charlie, I know Detroit is where you started your career. You were a second-round pick back in 1998. What did you make of Saturday night's Commanders ass-kicking?
Man, the energy was electric, right? This is the first time that I actually went back to a game in 23 years. And I say that only because
you were there. Wow.
Yeah, and it's the only reason because as a player and now analyst with the Steelers, literally this is the only time that the Lions have had a home game that they play 1 week longer than the Steelers. So I never really had to deal with that. So, having the opportunity to go back up, of course, everybody was excited in that particular manner. But, man, the energy was there, but, boy, was it quickly quieted by the second quarter because the way that the Commanders' defense was going, man, it was phenomenal to watch. And you could just see everybody just feeding off of that energy, especially when that crowd got silent.
Charlie, you've been around this league for a long time, man, and you watch many rookie quarterbacks. What do you say about Jayden Daniels, the way he's played and got into the playoff now, and he seemed to be elevating his play at this point?
It really is. And, this is the second time that I had the opportunity to watch him because they played the Steelers early November where I was watching him. I'm just like, okay, wow, okay. Everything was going well. I'm thinking maybe he might hit that rookie wall, but he didn't. And it just seemed like he kept elevating his play. But watching him in person, it was way better than watching it on TV. I'm like, this dude, it can play. And you should have seen me. I'm sitting in there watching, and he made that throw. It was a deep over route and got him down to like maybe the 2 or 3 yard line. And when he made that throw, I stood up. I said, wow. And everybody's looking at me in the suite, all the Lions, and they're just like, what do you mean? I said, man, that was one hell of a throw. I said, man,
was that the one with De'Ami Brown?
Yes. It literally caught him in
early.
Yes, he let it go. And I said, that's an overthrow. And you can see it ran, the beauty of it, the way it intersected and that catch happened. I said, that is it right. That's it. I didn't need to see the rest of the game. I said, that throw convinced me, man, and I'm excited to watch this dude for 10 plus years.
Dude, he was phenomenal. When you watch Daniels kind of be in control in that scenario, what does it say about kind of the beyond just the throw, right? I mean, every game seemingly, and we've watched them all in person, there's like a jaw-dropping moment. But to not be rattled in that scenario, that place was electric early on, and it's his first time ever playing there. His first time ever playing in a divisional round, and he doesn't seem to care. He's not he's not fazed.
He doesn't, and that goes back to the experience he had, right? You're playing in the SEC. You won the Heisman. All of these stages, they aren't big enough for you. Now it's just what are you able to answer the next question? And the next question was, can you do it and sustain it at the high level at this level? He answered that question. So when you walk into Detroit, they're going back and forth, and I think it was a period early in the game. He didn't convert on the fourth down. Things could have shifted into Detroit's hands, but yet the Commanders were able to create a turnover. So as it was all unfolding, you could just see him just saying, I'm just waiting for the opportunity. Every single time that he made the throw, when you talk about the coach going for it on fourth down, that lets you know, I believe in you as the quarterback. Because in November, I think they were 11 of 11 for fourth down. And I think obviously that changed as we move forward. But to watch him on fourth down, it was no surprise because that's how much confidence that they have in Daniels, that he's going to get him to the right play and ultimately make the right read if he has to put the ball in the air.
They came into that game converting 87% of their fourth downs. And so I watched the game, and I guess when I got to the league, we go to the playoffs, all the guys like, it's the same thing. Keep doing what we've been doing. That's what Washington did. But Detroit changed up their approach. They normally blitz you, run man-to-man. Early on, they were in zone. Then in the second half, they tried to blitz, and they kept doing what they were doing. I think once you change your game plan, that messes up your whole flow.
And that just lets you know that they doubted the rookie, right? Hey, we can confuse him. We'll make him make the mistakes early. We get the lead, and then all of a sudden we'll just continue to blitz him and put pressure on him by making him a one-dimensional team. That didn't happen. And to your point, when you have defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn for the Lions having to switch their game plan up in the middle of the game because nothing is working at that particular point, that is beautiful right there. And that just lets you know it kept them off balance. And as I'm watching that game, I'm literally saying to myself, if this was in the second quarter, I said, man, this run that Washington is on right now, it reminds us of our 2005 Steelers team when we were the 6th seed heading into the playoff, doing something that never has been done, was going on the road and having to win a Super Bowl. And we were able to hoist that Lombardi trophy, and we did so by going through the Bengals, who was a number 3 seed, the Colts a number 1, Broncos number 2, and then ultimately beating the Seahawks as a number 1 seed. When I see the trend and the confidence that this team has, that was the first thing that came to mind, and it didn't surprise me that they walked out of that stadium with a victory.
Wow, that's high praise, and that was, I mean, that was Ben was still pretty young at that point, right? And just to be
Ben was a second-year guy. He was a second-year guy, and that's what when I look at those comparisons to Jayden Daniels, I'm like, they're right there. Now, of course, you're throwing the ball a lot more in Washington back then. You know that you were in the era that you ran the football a lot more than what you're doing now. But the very similar traits that when I watched him, I'm like, this guy right here. This is why they believed in him. This is why they made him a day one starter.
Have you had a chance to watch Terry McLaurin? Like when you watch the game, I know people look at the quarterback, but Terry McLaurin was a guy everybody tried to doubt, say he wasn't the number 1. Hell, he scored his 15th touchdown the other night. And he does everything. You know, you get a chance to watch his play.
To be honest with you, I was just kind of ebb and flow, and of course, you know, couldn't concentrate on it as much as I wanted to, only because there were people talking in a suite because y'all were kicking their butts, and they're having side conversations. I'm like, dude, there's a game going on. Pay attention. So I did. So in fairness, I did not have the opportunity to really focus on what I needed to focus on for the entire game.
That's okay. Let me ask you. Let's turn it over to defensively. Jared Goff's been really good all year. And he had 4 turnovers in this game. There was the early strip sack and then 3 picks. You know, one of those picks kind of came late on a Hail Mary attempt. You can dismiss that one if you want, but a pick 6. Did Goff start to press? Was the game plan wrong, or did Washington's defense just handle him?
No, Washington, they put the pressure on him, and they were confusing Goff and, you know, all the success he had leading up to it. And I let you know, with pressure, you can confuse any veteran quarterback because now your eyes start going from looking down the field in coverage to the pass rush. And when you get back and you have that early pressure, right, that sack, that strip sack in the red zone, that created that turnover to get Washington the momentum to get going. And then he comes back, he throws the pick 6. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, okay, he went from being aggressive to now not making a mistake. And I know he left the game a little bit earlier. That's when Teddy Bridgewater came in on that drive where they predominantly ran the football. But when Goff came back in there, he was throwing the football down the field, but he didn't look as comfortable. And the one that really was crushing was right at the end of the half. He threw that red zone interception on the skinny post. When he let it go, I said, and sure enough, you can see the DB cut right underneath of it for an interception there. That took all of the momentum away from the Lions, went right over to Washington's side. And from there, it was going to play hardball with a 10-point lead. Now you know you get a chance to bleed the clock out. It was going to be very tough for the Lions to really come back in the second half, and that's what caused those turnovers and allow Washington to score points off of it.
Charlie, you play quarterback, and you know you throw an interception and you go in and you're trying to make a tackle, you're going to get hit. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the hit Louisville? Like, they're trying to make it seem like Louisville purposely tried to do something to Jared Goff, but Jared Goff was right there close to making a tackle. He blocked him.
See, and this is where Yeah, this is where the gray area happens, right? Everybody's like, oh, he's a defensive player, but he's capable of making a tackle, right? So if you're a defender, guess what? I'm shielding and I make that block because he actually was in position to possibly make the tackle. If he makes the tackle, maybe they're at the 1 yard line and there's a possibility. It could be slim, but there was a possibility they may not score a touchdown on that drive. So I'm okay with the block, and I use that and I use it to the point where I give the example of like a punt returner, right? They always say the punter is off limits, but the punter, he sets the angle. You ultimately either got to beat him with speed or you're going to cut back. But people get complained about why you hitting the punter because he could have made the tackle. If you don't want him to make the tackle, when you punt the football, I've been saying this for years. When you punt the football, have the punter run off the field then if you don't want him part of the play. If you're a quarterback, if you don't want to get hit, number one, don't throw the interception. But if you do, then you run to the sideline if you don't want to get hit. When it comes to football plays, that play right there, I thought that was 100% legit, and I hope the league doesn't come down on the fine.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Charlie, and I appreciate hearing a former quarterback kind of just say the truth of the matter. We're talking with Charlie Batch here on the Rude Guest Hotline. Charlie, of course, won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, starter in Detroit, second-round pick back at 98. Charlie, it's fascinating kind of getting close to the finish line here, and I'd like to turn the page looking ahead to Philly for the Commanders. But before we do that, I know the great work you're doing in the Pittsburgh area with Best of the Batch.
All over.
Yeah, I mean, all over, right. But just get us up to speed with kind of I know you just celebrated a big birthday, and I know how much work you do. What do you guys have coming up with the Best of the Batch Foundation?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you talked about the birthday. I celebrated Big 5-0 this year, last month.
I wasn't going to say the number.
Oh, boy, it's all downhill from there now.
It's all good. I'm celebrating life, that's for sure. But ultimately, earlier in the year, we celebrated 25 years of Best of the Batch Foundation, and we're an educational foundation. We serve 3,800 kids annually throughout 9 counties throughout southwestern PA. So we're educational based. We focus on our STEAM programs and our after-school programs, and it's truly phenomenal to be able to have the support and everything that we have throughout this the Pittsburgh area. And for anybody to want to see, we just went from 5,300 square feet to 33,000. So the kids come to the building. They don't want to leave. And, of course, it's an off day today. When schools are closed, our doors are open. So the kids are able to come in and out of the building. So we're super excited about what we're doing. And if anybody wants to collaborate off of that, they can actually go to batchfoundation.org, see what we're doing. And if there's ways to collaborate, we would love to do so because we don't do all things well.
There you go. All right, now looking ahead to Philadelphia, I'm guessing you watched that game yesterday. Saquon was a monster.
Always.
The Eagles have a really good D-line, but Jaylen, man, what do you see with Jaylen? Because that passing game just is not particularly impressive for a few weeks
15,
now.
I think 100 and some yards.
Yeah, it's not. I think maybe 15 to 27, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But again, I know weather was a factor. But hey, I saw him probably about a month ago when the Steelers played the Eagles as well. Didn't have a lot of passing yards in that particular perspective. They did run the ball well, and that's what they're basing their offense off of. The offense goes through Saquon Barkley. There's no secret there. We saw what he's capable of doing, and that's where Hurts was able to really hurt you in that particular manner because he's able to rush the football. But with him being injured at the end of that ball game, that can change what he brings to the table. And he ultimately may be a standing duck back there in that pocket to where now you make him one-dimensional and throw the football down the field. So I give the advantage to the Commanders in that way.
What do you think overall going into this matchup? It's in Philly, obviously. Washington won they each won at home. Hell, you said it. You compared them to the Steelers team that went on a Super Bowl run. What do you think the ceiling is for Washington with 60 minutes to New Orleans, and then who knows who they could face when they get down there?
They're playing with house money right now. There's absolutely nobody out there outside of Commanders Nation that thought that they would potentially be in this situation. And there's probably some people in Commanders Nation that doubted that. So, but either way, they're here. And you talk about 60 minutes of being away. When it comes down to it, you cannot turn the football over. And that's what been the formula of success for Washington in this playoff run. They could possibly make that happen. And if they can go in and minimize that crowd in the manner that they did in Detroit on Saturday, they have a great chance of winning this ball game. And when you have a division game, guess what? You don't like them and they don't like you. There's not much more game planning that you have to do because you know what they're going to do and they know what you're going to do. And when you get to this particular point, there's nothing better than sending a division foe home to have to watch you in the next round. And this is what this game is about. So that's why I don't doubt Washington one way, one bit or the other.
I think I look at this game where the first game they went out there, Washington wasn't ready for it, and they had some injuries on the offensive line. They came back. Washington had 5 turnovers and beat Philly in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there would give me great confidence. If I have 5 turnovers and I beat that team with the Saquon Barkley, if we go out there and play, like you said, if they play one of those mistake-free games, don't turn the ball over, they have as good a chance as anybody else out there on that football field. I don't care if it's Philly or whoever.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100% and watching and just see the confidence level. I mean, he just in pregame watching those guys out. And I had the opportunity, Jayden don't know me. I haven't met Daniels before, but he's walking through and I'm just kind of watching his demeanor. Man, this guy was so confident as he walked through that, just like, I got this. It's all good. This is not a stage I've never been on before. And you could just see it. He was not nervous. And now I was just like, okay, more and more impressive. So I look forward to the opportunity of meeting him one day here soon, then having that opportunity. And hopefully it's in New Orleans at some point as they're sitting there preparing for the Super Bowl.
Charlie, man, thank you for making
appreciate
time
you, brother,
for us.
man.
We appreciate it, dude.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Charlie.
Everybody, if you want to follow Charlie, it's at CharlieBatch16, and you can check out the Best of the Batch Foundation. Obviously, really impressive dude, does really impressive work with his foundation. And you can say whatever you want. Charlie Batch played in the NFL 12 years.
Yeah.
He won a Super Bowl. And if you remember how often, so he was a starter in Detroit, eventually landed with his hometown Steelers. They draft Roethlisberger. He kind of becomes Roethlisberger's longtime backup.
Mm-hmm.
Roethlisberger was always hurt. Charlie played all the time, and he played at a really high level. And for him to talk about a young quarterback like Jayden
in that light,
I mean, is that telling or what?
Listen, man, if you're not giving this guy his due now, you're just a hater. You're just a person who wants to be, somebody that's want to be on the other side. Like you get people like that sometimes where they always go against what other people say. It makes no sense. A contrarian. Because what he's done,
I don't really think people are doing it anymore.
We still have some fools that do it. They like to always do a little something so they can at least have something if something happens. Nah, he's already proven to me what he could be.